Only take breaks when I tell you to. Sure, no problem. I used to work at a call center where we would get flooded with calls constantly. This is a story of how a busybody boss thought they understood everything since they were in charge. At the work we were given 2 15-minute breaks and one 45-minute lunch break. The breaks were scheduled into our day so you could see when they would be, but this would change day by day. My role was a bit different than the normal agents as I was specifically dealing with the higher issue calls. These calls could take up to 1 hour to complete and the caller would need to stay on the line, unless they were fine with a call back later, but this was rarely the case. Since I never knew when I would be getting these calls, my break times were a shot in the dark if I would or wouldn't be on a call. I would just take them as soon as the call was done if they ever intersected, which they did 99% of the time. Enter my boss. During a performance review I hit all the marks except for attendance. I asked about this as I know I missed a few days but always with a reasonable update for time frame and never had a no-show day, where there is no warning that I'm not coming in. My boss stated that attendance also applies to break and lunch times, and since I rarely took them at the requested time, I was getting written up. I explained my role, that they hired me for, and the challenges involved. They did not care and stated I needed to take breaks when I was told to. I asked for them to send me an email so that I could print it out, put it on my desk and never forget again. My boss smiled ear to ear, probably because they thought I was groveling at that point, and sure enough they did state in the email you must take your breaks only when the schedule tells you to, no time else. There is no excuse. I saved it, printed it out, sent a copy to my own email and followed it to the letter. Next call that happened that same day of course, had the long call crossing over with a break issue. I asked the customer if it would be okay for a call back, they said no. I stated that unfortunately I cannot stay on the line as I am required to take my break. They became enraged and demanded to speak with my boss. I told my boss, they said that I need to apologize and finish the call. I showed them the email they just sent to me and said you told me to take my break at this time no matter what. I'm just doing what you told me to do. I'm taking my break, would you like the customer transferred over? Or should I just hang up? They took the call over and from that day on I never had a missed attendance mark. God, busybody bosses are the worst. Now to the comments. At my job we have 2 15 minutes and a 30 minutes lunch. The boss likes to hover and decided he would schedule what times you can break and have lunch. Just happens that the schedule he has put out has us breaking during the busiest times on our shift, so I told him that it should change but he wants us on this schedule and got pissy. So I follow the schedule now and break at the busiest times and he has to end up helping the customers now. He makes passive-aggressive comments every day but I say I'm just following the schedule. Sounds like he did that on purpose thinking you'd just work your break because it was busy. Well done for following the schedule, otherwise you would definitely lose out. Edit, I'm shit at spelling. It's a god-awful idiot management move because workers who don't get their breaks or eat lunch understandably provide worse service. My dad works as an MRI engineer in a large hospital on the East Coast, about 8 to 9 MRI machines in the hospital. His job is essentially to just make sure that they work properly. When he first took the job, his boss complained to him that he's in the office too much and doesn't seem to be working much. His response? If I'm here in the office, it means everything's working. If you want me to take longer to repair the machines so I would look busy, I can do that, but they'll be out of use for longer and the hospital would be losing more money. Never got a complaint after that. This is the bane of maintenance and IT. If it works, what are we paying you for? It doesn't work, what are we paying you for? Motivator/hygiene theory, mostly the hygiene part. If a person has good hygiene no one notices, but if they have bad hygiene everyone notices and is unhappy. Same goes for keeping equipment running. Wonderful. I love the part when you said can I get that in writing, and the clueless boss just smiled and was happy about it. Boss Lesson 1, when your employee asks for something in writing, it's time for you to step back and reconsider what you just told him to do. Then, even if you still think you're right, tell him that you've changed your mind, and he should just do it his way. I've had an employee ask for my directions in writing before due to other managers giving them conflicting information. I almost always do give a written/emailed/hard copy of anything just to cover my own ass, since basically every time I fail to do so I'll get an employee claiming they didn't know. But yes, only thrice have I ever been asked for something in writing, and all 3 times I was like, oh duck, do you mind if I hear the full story here? I clearly am missing something very important. Oh God, that takes me back. Call centers are the worst for this kind of thing. Scheduled to work at 9 o'clock and don't log in until 9:02? That's a write-up. Scheduled to finish at 1800 hours but you're still on a call. Oh, you are working on until that call is finished. And then get yelled at for going into OT. At my job, anyway. You need to stay in the queue until the very last minute, though. No taking yourself out early so you can actually leave on time. But how dare you get a call at 4:59? Need to share with r/tales from call centers if you haven't already. OP replied. I didn't even know that was a thing, so thank you. There is no atrocity I will not commit to avoid working in a call center again. You'd kick a puppy? You monster. Murder, sure, but kicking a cute pup? Puppy, baby, puppy into a baby, anything to avoid call center work again. I'd deep fry a bloody orphanage. Edit, never got awards for a comment before. What's worse is that they assume they know everything that goes on in your day, when they do not do the job themselves. Like your bosses were outraged that you wouldn't take breaks at scheduled times but couldn't understand why you wouldn't finish the call before going to break. Bosses should walk a mile in their employees' shoes before judging. Bosses should walk a mile in their employees' shoes before judging. I got promoted to manager in a customer service call center. I had previous experience in a collections call center. I was a bit out of my depth. At a previous job, luggage handling, the station boss would come out once or twice a year and help load planes. It really impressed me. So, I got myself a phone login and then took calls while an experienced rep sat next to me walking me through the steps to handle the customer's issue. After a while I was able to handle most issues on my own and just set aside a couple hours per month to take calls as a frontline representative. It made my job so much easier. Gave me a lot of credibility with the phone staff and great insights in major meetings. I could have been a better manager, but the staff felt I understood their issues, so I had very good employee satisfaction scores. One of my favorite calls was when a fellow called to get a bigger credit line. He was not eligible for any type of increase. He was unreasonable about it and asked for a supervisor. We had escalation reps, so I sent it over to one of them. Guy asks for his supervisor. Speaks to supervisor and then asks for his manager, which was me. When the guy complained about the first representative was very rude, I told him that was me, which kinda took the wind out of his sails. Years ago, I used to own a small cab company. It was always fun when someone on the phone would ask to speak to my boss or supervisor. I saved it, printed it out, sent a copy to my own email. This is how you see why emails that only exist on the company's system might not be there for you if push comes to shove. As a supervisor in a call center, I have to say that your leadership are idiots. Calls never follow the patterns we set in system for breaks and lunches. The fact you did that made me laugh. I applaud your compliance for the rules. You can definitely be on my team. Reminds me of my boss. Your break was 15 minutes and 14 seconds long. This is not acceptable. Your breaks are only 15 minutes. I'll give you 7 seconds of leeway, but no more. You got 7 seconds of leeway. Wait, you guys got leeway? I work maintenance electrician in a very busy place and they tried this with us. I pointed out that sometimes the places we go to are easy to work at while the client is at lunch or in a break, and when they conflict it would be easier and more efficient to stagger our breaks. They responded no, and any deviation needed a manager's approval. At first, we did bug him a bit, but then just explain the facts of life to them. I have worked hard to become very good at what I do. I chose this job for the short commute, nothing more, so I'll just break when I would like and we'll just leave it that way and I'll keep the clients happy. That was 5 years ago, never had a problem with that since.